Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tribe Talks, where we talk everything Mississinawa every week, or at least we try to do every week. We've been slacking a little bit here recently, but my name is Derek Gowan, as always, and joined by my co-host Aiden Forney. Aiden, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Derek. I definitely cannot complain at all.
It's always a good day to be an Indian. And speaking of the Indians, the football team is finally done with their season. They just lost in the regional championship against Northridge High School. Very sad for them, but a very hard fought game overall. And we were there, Aiden. What did you think?
Yeah, it was definitely a difficult game to play. I mean, the weather was not helping either side of the ball. Definitely cold, snowy, rainy, and Indians fought very hard. It looked like we had something there after the Braden Biddle interception, but it was just too little, too late. The Indians couldn't get anything else going, and
One might say
unfortunately, we
it's too
lost.
biddle, too late. Sorry, that's a dad joke. But anyway, the one good thing about football being over is basketball starts. So we did a girls' basketball game last week, and that makes me really excited because I love basketball. Aiden, I know you're not huge basketball, but what are your thoughts on basketball? And you have to be careful because our special guest today. So,
Oh, I still love watching basketball a lot. Definitely watch it anytime I get, and I enjoy playing it sometimes too.
well, then we still have some tryouts going on, right? So, no, I'm kidding. But anyway, that brings in our special guest for the day, head basketball coach here at Mississinawa, Coach Reed. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being here for sure. We'd love to talk to all the coaches as we go along. So, first off, as we're getting underway here, just tell us a little bit about yourself for those who might not know who you are, because this is your what, fifth year,
Fourth year.
fourth year here at Mississinawa, um, coaching basketball. So, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you grew up, and kind of how you got into basketball and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I actually grew up in Mrs. Speakman's house. So if you know where that is, that's
Yeah,
that's where I actually grew up here in Gas City. I graduated in 2005. Played for the great coach Chance Young. His first year was my sophomore year. Won a couple CICs with him while
nice.
being here. And obviously, still my coach to this day. He's athletic director, right? So it's kind of funny how that works. But after high school, I went and played Division One basketball at Morgan State
Okay.
for a little bit. Then I transferred to Manchester and played there to finish my career. And then after that, I've kind of coached JV, really every level. And then about 7 years ago, I think it was, I came back to Mississinawa and was an assistant for Coach Everts. And then about 4 years ago, I took over as the head coach.
All right. Next question. What exactly got you started into playing basketball and where you're at today?
Honestly, I would say about third grade. The class I was with, we had a couple of really great parents, Daryl Davis and Russ Corbin, that got us started playing basketball early, and we played 30, 40 games a year until we were until seventh, sixth, seventh grade, and then we were still playing a lot after that. So I'd have to attribute my start to basketball to them for sure. My dad was actually the wrestling coach, so
Nice.
I grew up kind of in a wrestling family, so kind of funny how that worked out as well. So I still love wrestling, but obviously basketball is my niche. So yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I saw on Max Preps you've been coaching. This will be your fourth year here, but you were here before,
Mm-hmm.
just under a different coach.
Correct.
So, talk a little bit about we're moving into the Mississinawa aspect because you grew up here. I was hoping you were saying like I grew up in California, but you didn't. So, talk about what you learned under who was it? It was Coach Everett's.
Yep.
So, talk about what just being like the assistant coach and your JV coach, like what that taught you that you use still today, like as a varsity coach.
Sure, that's one of the funny things about being an assistant. Me and Coach Young were just talking about it. It's just a lot of fun. It's like every coach's dream. You don't have all the responsibility of the parents and just the design and the playbook and there's just a lot communication that goes into being a head coach. When you're assistant coach, you get to coach, and
Yeah.
that's really what a coach wants to do. And when you move over that 12 inches or whatever it is to that other chair, it just the game changes a lot. And so from Coach Everts, I was able to learn patience. I thought that he had a great attitude. He really took care of the players. Where before maybe I would have thought you got to be rough on the
Mm-hmm.
players and be tough on them. I think he showed me that there was another way to coach that was outside the norm, which I think was great for my coaching philosophy and guidelines, basically, because I was able to combine the two completely different philosophies. So I've been lucky to have coached under some really good coaches that set me up for success when I became a head coach.
Yeah, speaking of being under other head coaches, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you were assistant at North Miami and Madison Grant.
Correct, correct.
But what brought you back to Miss Inwall exactly?
I just always felt like, Mrs. Sinwall had, a great sense of community. I've worked some other places and it's just not the same. I'm sure there are a lot of great places to work. And again, the places I've worked aren't terrible. It's just something different about Mrs. Sinwall. It's, the community. That's when I took over as head coach, we started our family versus team because I really felt like Gas City is a family, not just Gas City, but our community that's grown in general, Jonesboro, South Marion, just all these other places that are now, I would say, a Mississinawa community. It's been exciting to see that growth for sure.
No, yeah, I totally see that because this is my first year teaching at Mississippi. Obviously, I graduated from Indiana Wesleyan, so I kind of know at least the small town life a little bit. And watching my wife teach here for the last 4 years, and just talking to the other coaches, we've talked to all the fall sport coaches, and just it is a different sense of community here compared to a lot of other schools. And then also just within your own teams, your teams seem to be a lot more bonded than I've seen in a lot of other teams. So moving into, let's get back into, this is your 4th year coaching. Checking on Max Preps. You can correct me if Max Preps is wrong, but you have not had a losing record as of yet. And hopefully it won't happen.
Correct.
We're looking to have a good year this year, but let's talk through last year. Last year was, if you don't know it, listeners, last year was our first sectional title since, what was it, 1954 or something like that. So that's got to be a huge weight lifted off of your shoulders as a coach. I'm not saying it was all on your shoulders in general, but just as a community, I know us and Aiden as a student here, that was just something amazing to see. So describe that as a coach and your team and just what that kind of did for you guys.
Yeah, that's hard to describe. You asked me, like, again, what brought you back to Mississippi? I'm not sure this did, but when I got here, it became, a big focus. My junior and senior year, we also had really good chances to win sectionals, and we weren't able to do that. We were the favorites, and for some reason or other, we lost. And so when I came back, that kind of dream kind of came back. And so the last 7 years, that was a big focus of mine, is wanting to really see if we could win one of those. And we've been so close, even in the last 7 years, so many times. To finally get that, it was a breath of fresh air for me. I know that, and I think for our community as well. I mean, and on a freezing cold night to see that many people line Main Street, it's just exciting, and our kids feel it. I mean, you can look from the football season this year. You know how much we're progressing every year towards being not only a state championship level football team or basketball team, but just school and program altogether.
Yeah, and after that sectional win, what was the mindset going into regionals against Leo?
Well, that's a good question. After sectionals, I think it was we played really well. We were really confident. We thought we had a good game plan, and it was just one of those days where it's one of those, you got punched in the mouth, and it kind of shook us a little bit. And Leo was really, really good, and I think we underestimated them just a little bit. They ended up going to the state championship and losing by 1. So I think they had the film that I had watched. They definitely didn't play the way they had played against us that morning. I think they were ready for us. And again, our mindset was, I thought we had a good mindset, and I think early in that game, if the ball would have bounced, a different way once or twice, I think we would have had the momentum and we would have been okay. But the way it worked out, and obviously,
just
snowballed for us.
Things here and there make it slightly different. But for those of you who don't know, Mississippi won their first sectional, and then they took on Leo and lost by a decent margin. I remember watching that game, and like you said at the beginning, I was so excited. We were kind of keeping up, and then just it slowly snowballed affected to the end. And I hate to say it, but like, hey, we won sectionals. So like around here, especially the basketball, it's very exciting to at least win the sectional championship. And now we're setting our sights a little higher this year. So speaking of that, we just had basketball tryouts last week. and you're still actually going through all that kind of stuff right now because of the football team, and they have a lot of players on the team that want to play basketball as well. So first of all, do we have a team yet?
We will after today. I
Okay.
think we have our final cuts today, which is hard to believe, but I think we have to play Marion now in 8 days.
I was going to say, is
like
that game still on?
That game is still
Okay.
on. Yeah.
Because I had heard a rumor that if football won, we might have to push the game back. I'm not sure, but for those of you who don't know, Marion on Wednesday at Marion, Tribe TV will be there live streaming that game for the community as well. So, but let's talk about this year's team. We have how many seniors? We counted 4. Is there 5?
We have 5, right?
Okay, 5. Is it Dakota? That's the last one. Is he playing? Okay.
Dakota Ansel. Yeah.
So Dakota Ansel, Hayden Ulrich, Lucas Asbury. Is it Reese Farr and Taylor Newsom? Ty Newsom. Sorry. See, I wasn't here last year to know his name perfectly. So, talk about the seniors and what they bring into this team. Obviously, we're still completely unknown on the full team. But you know those 5 guys. You've coached them for a couple of years now. So what do they bring into this year, looking for the goals for the team this year?
Well, not a lot of experience. Hayden Ulrich has a whole lot of experience. We're going to expect a lot out of him, and I think he expects a lot out of himself. I'm really excited for him this year, kind of without, he was under Tay and Landon for, a couple of years, 3 years really, as where he deferred to them. And I think this year it's going to be fun to see what he can do without those guys at the top now that he's at the top. Lucas Asbury is another one I'm really excited about. Had a great varsity season last year. Definitely helped us win a sectional. Had a big role. We're expecting him to expand that role as well. I think he's going to have a great season. He's worked really hard, and not only in football and basketball to get to where he's at. In fact, I think they lost Friday, and he was at practice Saturday morning trying to run offense, trying to do drills. Him and Nolan Quater are both, but Lucas especially was excited to be there. Disappointed in what happened with football, but ready for a new challenge. So I'm really excited for him. Ty Newsom got quarantined a lot last year. He was supposed to be a big part of the varsity team and was never really able to get going, but I think he's going to have a good season this year. I think he'll get underestimated, and I really look for him to have a good season, which he's earned as well. Reese Farr, he's a kid that probably his freshman year I would have never thought would have been able to be a varsity player, but really worked his butt off to get to the point where you think some kids think maybe because they haven't played basketball the normal way, or they weren't on the middle school teams, that there's no way they can make it. Well, Reese is one guy that shows you that it can be done if you work hard, if you commit to the program. And I think we look for him to have a good season in what his role is. And then
Dakota.
Oh, Dakota, yeah, absolutely. Well, Dakota skipped a year on us. So his junior year, he had some other things going on that he was doing. But we're lucky to have him back for this senior year. He was really a huge part of that senior class in middle school, freshman year, sophomore year. And again, I think he had a great summer, and I look for him to get a lot of minutes and to be a good player for us this year.
Yeah, we talk about the seniors now. The seniors last year, obviously not here. You mentioned Landon, Tay, Colin's not here, Cree's not here, Jalen's not here. But out of the JV team and the freshman team, who do you look to step up the most this year?
That's
Is there anybody you got your eye on so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I got my eye on a lot of them, and they know it. I think I told them the other day, I circled some of the seniors and said, I know that these guys are playing. All the other spots are up for grabs, and I'd say they still are. I think Gannon Smith, Preston McCann, Nolan Quater are some sophomores. Ajon Johnson are some sophomores that have a good chance to find a role. We're really looking for some guards. Another senior actually that just tried out and joined, and I think is going to be on the team is Tykel Smith. He will be on the team, and again, he actually had a broken leg last year, so he missed last year, but he'll be back for this senior year. So we might look for some production from him as well. Juniors Trayvon Hess and Courtney Jones. Again, it's just a big competition all the way around, and I wish I knew. Trust me, I wish I knew. It's been pretty stressful for me. But I think I know, Jackson Ott's another one. He's
freshman, for those listening.
He's been sick this week, and he kind of probably deserved a couple days off. I can't imagine being a freshman starting at linebacker all year, and then, the varsity coach saying he's wanting your attention too a couple days afterwards. So We're looking for him maybe to do some things for us varsity level. We still have to find that out. But again, there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of unknowns right now, which are causing me some gray hairs, but it's exciting at the same time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be a little stressful because it's like a bittersweet thing because you're happy for the football team, but you're also like, I wish those players were with me for a couple more weeks. So, but no, that's exciting. So moving into the year, I don't want to talk like super X's and O's because you might not know everything that you guys are doing so far this year. But what kind of offense are we looking? Are we expecting to see this year? Is it like a run and gun, or are we more like slow half pace, like a half court offense, or what are we kind of feeling?
I think we're in the middle of trying to figure that out ourselves right now. I think that in the past we've had some success with some playing fast, pressuring. We lost a lot of those pieces. I mean, if you look at the guys we lost 4 college athletes.
Yeah.
Landon Swanner's at Defiance, Tays at Franklin, Cree's at Manchester playing baseball, Colin Yoder's at IWU playing baseball. So we've lost a lot of those athletes. So we're trying to figure out right now if that's the way we should play. I know that we can play slow down basketball. I'm not sure that fits us best yet. So we're still trying to figure it out. I know that I like to play fast. And if we've got the guys to play fast, we'll play fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say playing fast requires a lot of people. Well, depth first of all, because you're gonna have a lot more tired of legs going on. But yeah, you mentioned Colin Yoder, and I remember not even when I was working here. I think it was my wife's first or second year teaching. I was watching. I was like, man, he's just annoying on the court. You gotta love having a player like that on defense because he's just a pest. So you definitely have to look for somebody to step up and be that pest role.
And I think he's got some proteges down there, especially in that sophomore class. I think we've got some guys that, again, we're just young. Experience is such a big thing in basketball.
Yeah.
And when you don't have it, there's just a lot of unknowns. And so it's going to take us probably a few weeks to figure out, who can handle the pressure, what guys should be in those roles. But I think once we get there, it's going to be an exciting year.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to watch the basketball. At least I am. I'm definitely excited to watch basketball and announce some games. Last question before we kind of wrap up here. Obviously, you guys won sectionals last time for the first time and whatever. We hear that all the time. But what are your kind of goals this year? Obviously, we'd love to get back to sectionals, win that again, move on. But any more kind of quantitative goals, I guess, that you can, I don't know what I'm trying to say, like write down on paper and like know you had success this year?
Sure. I think our success comes, especially this year, from where are we at the end of the year. I think we learned last year that winning a sectional winning conference is great. Winning Grant Four is all that stuff is great. But when you win a sectional, man, it's different. And so, we've got some games early in conference that are going to be tough games for us that I hope we can get through. And conference is definitely a goal for us. But again, our biggest goal is at the end of the year, we're the best team of all year. And I think that's going to happen. And I think that if we can find some momentum, find some rhythm with each other, which will take a little bit of time.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I think sectionals is definitely something that we're going to be looking at wanting to take home again.
Yeah, that's exciting for us. Do you have any last questions, Aiden?
None off the top of my head.
Well, that's all right. Well, as we wrap up here, Coach, again, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the time. For you listening, we do have the first game of the year for the boys basketball team is at Marion on Wednesday, November 24th. I believe that game JV tips off around 6 o'clock, right?
Yep.
So JV will tip off at 6, and then you'll have a 15-20-minute break in between varsity. We'd love to see Marion just filled with red and white. It'd be fantastic. So come on down to Marion around 6 to 7:30 whenever you want to get there and cheer on the first game of the season against the Grant County rivals, Marion Giants. If you're not able to be there, like I said, Tribe TV will be there to live stream the game, so check us out on the Athletics YouTube page. Thanks again, Coach, for joining us. We appreciate the time. And signing off, Derek Gowan and Aiden Fortney, thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back with you next week with women's basketball head coach, Coach Laura Friday. Thank you so much. Bye.